what we decided to do was create this virtual professional development. But before just creating a virtual setting of what we already had, we took a rather novel approach and went and asked teachers, okay, what are you experiencing? What do you want? What are you needing? Where are your stressors for the environment that we're experiencing right now? And so we collected a lot of data and we asked teachers, principals, and went to them and said, hey, let's go ahead and make this PD. And since inquiry is kind of what we do here at the Science Mill, we started off today's PD with some inquiry, lines of inquiry here. So why Science Mill PD? We'll go through that in just a moment. We're going to answer just a few simple questions here, like how do we evoke childlike wonder in our students? How do we help students overcome the fear of failure and kind of do away with a little bit of that anxiety and pressure that they feel? How do we cultivate stronger relationships with students? And how do we create captivating content? How do we create meaningful connections to learning? And what does hands-on learning look like in a virtual environment? So those are things that are plucked out of the professional development series. Now that is not all that is in the series. So we can go on ahead and look at why we would want to do the Science Mill PD. So again, from our teachers and from our principals, these were the things that we heard and, created our response. So there's an uncertainty of teaching modality and feeling unprepared for the upcoming school year. And I mean, we're in August, things are still changing and probably will be throughout the fall. So we understood that. And then concern over navigating new learning landscape and how to be effective in this new teaching terrain. Like, I'm really great in the classroom and I know how to do all these things. How do I navigate this issue of maybe we're going to be virtual one week, maybe we're going to be in person, maybe I'm going to have my students half and half. And then of course, all of this has just showed us all more as teachers, the lack of equity and access for at-risk students. And so we wanted to address a lot of issues of equity in our program. Our PD response that we made in accordance with what we had heard was blended learning and tech integration. So we started looking at learning theory from a different perspective. We all studied, we all learned behaviorism, we looked at constructivism, and we used these things in our classroom really just kind of without thinking it. The more you teach, the more it's ingrained in who you are. So we're going to flip that and take that and put it into virtual settings with technology and tech integration. We also have brain-based learning strategies, again, kind of revamping, rediscovering how kids' brains and our brains process stress, emotions, complex thinking, just all different types of designs on how the brain works and how the brain functions, especially with our students in this virtual space. We also, because it is part of our mission, we really want to connect kids with careers and see themselves as STEM professionals. So we not only provide you with opportunities and ways to incorporate careers as part of the classroom discussion, but also we have some great guest speakers who come on and talk about their experience and how they got to where they are. And we've used a variety of males, females, all kinds of different ethnicities and all different types of careers to show students the breadth of availability and jobs there are out there. Inquiry-based learning, of course, is something that we feel very strongly about. So in these modules, we have inquiry-based learning techniques for in-person and virtual learning. So again, taking that to the virtual level. And then hands-on inquiry lessons and activities. In each module, there's 3 activities that you will get. Some of them are simply an engage activity, some of them are an evaluate, some of them are just the explore of a lesson or a unit, but there's always a full 5E lesson that is, could take up to a week or 2 weeks, or it could be done in a few days depending on how you structure your timing. but there is a full 5E lesson, a full 5E unit within each module. And then of course, as I mentioned earlier, we brought in experts on equity. So we brought in people who are professionals in the field of equity and culturally responsive teaching and social justice. So we've brought those discussions into this Learn at Your Own Pace virtual PD. So we'll start just digging in. Is everybody still with me? Everybody okay? Nice. Thank you. It is, it's morning. It's still fairly early as far as we're all concerned. So how do we evoke childlike wonder in our students? And this is something that we see so often at the museum. And so when this question came up, we were like, how can we bring our museum experience to the classrooms? We know that field trips are going to be off into the distant future. We know that we're not going to see a lot of students here on field trips. But how do we bring that excitement and that spark, that intense curiosity that they have when they're here exploring? How do we bring that to your classrooms? So part of the way we did that was we focus on our exhibits, and we show you our exhibits and walk you through them as part of that professional development. However, the other nice thing that we have, hold on, whoop, see? And you just got to roll with it when you make a mistake. One of the things we learn in virtual teaching. But so we also created some free resources for teachers that I want you guys to check in on here. So if you go to our website here, you'll see Science Mill. Of course, you can always click on anything for educators. You can look at our field trips, homeschool. Here's our Labs on the Go, which will be virtual in the fall to winter. And here's where you'll find our link for our professional development as well. But if you click on this button, this is the free resource of the Explorer Zone. So, and let me just take you, oh, there we go. It's going to load in just a second. So here's our Explorer Zone. We created these episodes that kind of break apart our exhibits. And you can see we have 8 episodes here. You can also see our live stream of our tortoise camera there. But it's really wonderful how there's like a 20-minute, 15 to 20-minute video that's included. And I'll just click on this page first because we look at the ball machine in our first module. So it just kind of lets you know a little bit of the narrative behind it. There's the video will load right here, and we also have our Learning Lab activities. So there are activities in here that were meant to be done at home with families. So they were meant to be done with just resources you had around your house. So this is an excellent resource. If you get in a bind, if all of a sudden your kids have to be home, working from home for whatever reason, here's some resources that you can quickly pop into your curriculum. We do have Simple Machine Scavenger Hunt, Rube Goldberg Challenge. There's also other activities that are listed on this page. And I think I just have so much running. There we go. We also have our career connections that can also break down some other interesting information for you guys and let students see that different courses and degree programs, interests and skill sets, and other jobs related to the videos. And here is another set of resources that, of course, we didn't create, but it's everything here. It's on forces in motion. When you're looking at this, it's simple machines. So it's kind of within that same content area. But it is a catalog list of extra resources for you. So please use the Explorer Zone. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It is there for you guys to utilize. And there's 8 episodes now. We will be making more in the fall. So let me just click back over to here. And so the other way with our Explorer Zone episodes, which you are welcome to use in the classroom, from the inquiry-based learning, that is another piece that will be a part of each module. And of course, in the virtual setting, it's fantastic to be able to utilize technology to create inquiry. When you have literally a plethora of resources at your fingertips, it's pretty fantastic to be able to set kids on their journey of discovery. So we do walk through that In each of our activities, we kind of walk you through how to handle the inquiry, because everything is done in the 5E inquiry model, but we also have the 5Es broken down. So we talk about the engage and why it's important, and here's some great tips, and here's some great resources for you to utilize. I'm going to open this up for a question really quickly, but how many teachers now feel fully confident in their abilities and are using it daily in their classroom, that 5E inquiry model? And anybody, y'all can unmute yourselves and share. So nobody's been using inquiry so far? Well, I think from this perspective, you're going to learn a lot then, and be able to have a lot of resources and tools to take to your classroom. We'll get into more specific concepts later in this PD. So our second question that we wanted to answer was, how do we help students overcome the fear of failure? We incorporated into our professional development great strategies for growth mindset. And so with the growth mindset, we wanted to be able to set that intrinsically motivated goals for students and help them have more self-confidence. We incorporated a lot of social and emotional learning techniques and tips. So just creating that motivation. And part of the way to do that, which inquiry helps with that, is by being able to congratulate students in the moment, being able to congratulate them on the process. So if you do find yourself virtually teaching, it was really great earlier, Lisa put up an emoji. So you can actually share private chats. When you're in a group discussion, you can go through and select an emoji that you want to share. And you can, if a kid they have a really great question, you can give them a thumbs up. It's a really nice responsive way to engage your students and help them overcome that, oh, well, maybe my questions aren't good. Maybe I don't know how to handle the situation. Or, you know what, I really liked the way you thought this process through. Let's think about what could you do differently that might have a different outcome, rather than focusing on the actual outcome, focusing on that process and being able to congratulate and commend your students in the moment during the steps that they're doing is really fantastic. And virtual learning does allow you to do that. Maybe even more so than when you're in person, because when you're in your classroom, it's kind of hard to give everybody a sticker or a thumbs up, because it's a physical action of walking and giving it to them. So in this context, you can actually, we have some great, of course, techniques and tips, as well as some tech apps and websites for you to go to that will help you with that. And again, one of the things we think really helps students overcome their fear of failure is by adding those career connections and allowing students to see other people's experiences of how they got to where they did. It allows students to see that journey of, wow, they're just like me. They look like me. They sound like me. They came from the same area that I come from. And look at what they were able to accomplish and how they did it. It's kind of that idea that there is a relevancy to what you're doing. It's not just for the purpose of taking a test. It's not for the purpose of having a grade. It's for you to be able to feel confident and good about your talents, your abilities, and your skills. And by leading students through the path of inquiry and growth mindset, they're going to develop a greater sense of self-efficacy towards STEM, towards whatever your content is. And that allows them then to grow and to feel more confident and be like, you know what? I made the absolute worst marble roller coaster. It failed and it failed and it failed, but here's what I learned. And what I learned was I put it up too high. My slope was too great. I wasn't able to overcome the amount of friction that was created by the materials that I chose. So when we can get students to that plane, when we can get students to that field of being like, yeah, everything was a disaster, and it was awesome because I learned so much from this process. It really is focusing on the process as opposed to the product. And I think we all understand as teachers, again, like, we are in this together. We want to be a huge resource for y'all. And we've all taught in that classroom and had that experience and that feeling of, how am I going to get them to love this and to embrace this and to want to be lifelong learners. And the trick really is to get them to enjoy the process of learning. The tests are, of course, a piece of everybody's puzzle there, and that we always have to figure out how to make time to make sure that they understand the testing and the questions and how it's going to be set up. But I think if we can help them build greater growth mindset and a greater understanding of how amazing failure can be in order to launch you to newer heights, I think that could help overcome a lot of the anxiety that students feel about the pressure of school. So we wanted to help do that. And again, in the virtual setting, there are a ton of, and I'm sure y'all have seen it and researched it, there are a ton of techniques and tips that are out there to help make virtual learning more interesting, and allow kids that safe space to fail and move forward. And so before I get to this next question, Mahek, did you have anything you wanted to add? Because I can't see your face, so I want to make sure I'm not missing you.
I think you're doing a great job. No, nothing that I wanted to add particularly. Yeah, I think you do a great job. I have a toddler, everyone, and she tends to steal a show. And I was trying to make sure that we were focused on PD and not small children today. So,
by the way, though, she does have the cutest toddler ever. Like, she's pretty responsive in meetings. It's fantastic. She has great ideas. So, the next piece that we wanted to answer in this professional development was, how do we cultivate stronger relationships with students? We all know as teachers, you only get student buy-in when you can connect with them. And connecting with students in a virtual setting at first to me sounded like insurmountable and terrifying. I was like, oh, how do you do that? Now you're just a name, but there are so much more opportunities. You can really get to know your students, even if you are virtually teaching, even if you only see them once or twice a week. I know it's taking away that wonderful, amazing, like euphoric feeling of bonding with your students in the classroom. It's going to make us look forward so much more to actually being in person. Because I know in my middle school classroom, I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I loved that feeling of watching my students succeed, and they gave so much energy back. And so for me, when we started creating this whole thing and when the pandemic happened, I was like, well, how would I treat my students the same and have the same understanding for them? And that's where we really started digging into brain-based learning and how the brain reacts and responds, not just to, learning theory, not just about like the parts of the brain. It's not just a refresher on those concepts and ideas. It's more taking that and understanding, okay, we are living in a pandemic. None of us have ever done this before because none of us are 100 years old. So there is this great new opportunity and way for us to connect to students by understanding their experiences. And really, yes, we want to know the resources that they bring into the classroom, and we can do that in virtual learning by allowing them to create their own podcasts, allowing them to reflect on their learning in, great journals. There's also some wonderful activities with like Toga Life and some other great apps and websites that are out there that allow students to express themselves to where you could kind of be an observer. And they're going to share a lot more because they're not having to share with you personally. I have a 13-year-old stepson who is fantastic and amazing, and I love him so much. And he's brilliant, and he will talk your ear off, but he won't speak to his teachers, and he won't speak in class because he is incredibly shy and it takes him a very long time to feel comfortable. But when he is online and he is doing something virtually, he lit up last spring. I saw a different student in him because he was allowed to sit there and talk with his teachers from a safe distance. So he would get online with them and be like, this is just like my video game. And I can tell you that I don't know how to do this. So how can you help me? And it opened him up. And some of his teachers and, some of us here, we've looked into, creating a website. Like what kind of a great tool is that as a reflection for a student to allow them to say, okay, cool. We're going to let you create your own website instead of the regular like one pager or, reflective activity that we would do in class. Now we're going to have this opportunity for you to create and design a web page. So that's building 21st century skills for the student. It's also helping you as a teacher learn more about technology at your disposal. And it allows kids that autonomy and that individuality to create something for you that says, hey, look, this is who I am. This is what I care about. This is what's important to me. And the more we can continue as culturally responsive teachers incorporating those resources from our students into our lessons, it just opens them up to being available to us as an additional resource. They're a great textbook filled with their own experiences and their own knowledge. And so the more we can help bring that out, and technology does help us do that in so many ways. Our experts on equity that talk about culturally responsive teaching and have these great techniques, we discussed with them, like, what is the role that storytelling has in this? And, they brought forth many great ideas about how a student sees the world around them based on their culture, based on their experience, based on their religion, the political views that are expressed in their family, based on the things that they are experiencing in their home and in their community. And how all of this comes into the classroom, we can take that malleable mind and add this complexity to it, add that layer to it, and then they'll take it back home. And we've worked through ways of, okay, how do we engage the parents? If these students are going to be virtually learning, they're going to be at home. They're going to be available to express ideas and things with their parents. We can get more multi-generational, not just multicultural education going in this new landscape. So I think from our perspective, the brain-based learning and the culturally responsive teaching, where we have specific ideas and specific techniques that will help you, I think that would be a great benefit. We mentioned a few things. Podcasts are fantastic to allow students to express their ideas. And in one of our modules, we will walk you through the entire process of how to set it up, how to allow your students, how you can also control it, because we also know if any of you work in middle school, you have to watch what they say. So, you may not have to worry about that with some of the smaller ones, but there are ways that you can set this up. You can also, which is brilliant, you can record not only what you're doing, but you can record your class sessions. So you can use that as your own personal reflection to go back and go, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. Oh, what did Samuel say about this? What did Sally say about that? Because as a teacher, you can't always write down what's happening in the moment because you're in the moment. But this allows you to kind of record your classroom and then take those pieces, take those stories. All these great concepts the student comes up with that in inquiry-based learning, you're like, okay, I want to remember what they said because it doesn't apply to this, but it will apply to something later. Being able to record that, being able to document that is a fantastic teaching tool. So again, like, I know that it seems kind of gray what we're going into in the fall because everything is kind of changing, but I think we have a lot of really great opportunities here to just become the best versions of ourselves as teachers. The next thing we wanted to answer was, how do we create captivating content? Okay. This is not the most captivating at the moment because I'm sending you so much information all at one time. So I'm kind of breaking the rules that we're teaching you through this PD. But really, as long as when you create small, bite-sized, chewable pieces, and you don't have to have a 20-minute instructional video. Maybe you have a 3-minute engage instructional video that just says, how would you put this together? How would you handle these items? And get them wondering, get them thinking, get those brains churning and going. But you want to use colorful and bright imagery. Photographs are wonderful. Video is great. But there's another sense that kind of sometimes gets lost in the classroom because schools are loud and there's, you know, announcements going on and, you know, people in the hallway. There's always something going on in the building. When you're outside of that building and you have this focused time with your students online, you can actually do an audio recording and have them do an exercise. Close your eyes and listen and try to block out distraction. I think audio files are a fantastic opportunity to have students really tap into all of their senses. And also with this, so we do have the tech integration. So we're going to talk to you about Padlet, Flipgrid, again, the digital whiteboards. We're going to walk you through some of the best classroom management systems and allow you to kind of pick and choose. And we know that the district sometimes chooses some of these for you, but there will be scripted kind of opportunities for you to learn how to utilize this technology in your classroom. You can always reach out to one of us and ask and say, hey, I liked this, but I'm not understanding what you're getting. How do I make this happen? If you have any questions, you can always email us, reach out to us. We are here. Even though you get to learn at your own pace, we have a discussion forum that's available to allow you to express not only the reflective questions that we ask, but it could allow you to express to just be like, I really liked this activity on designing the digital one-pager, the website, but I'm having, this is the content that I'm trying to use. Can you send me any additional information? And we'd be happy to help you out. Again, with creating captivating content, we know that learning theory plays a great role in how we present material in our classroom. There's a reason that we studied constructivism and behaviorism, and there's a reason that we also looked forward to connectivism and humanism and cognitivism and all the isms. We studied them, we reflected on them, and then we utilize that in our classroom. So in creating that content and using those best practices, it's not just a simple switch over to virtual, but it is kind of sometimes the best way to move forward is to look back. So if we can look back at what we learned from our first year teaching, which for everybody, I don't know anybody who is just like, first year teaching, I had no nerves whatsoever. Like I think every teacher their first year. So this is like your first year, but it's your first year with all of the experience that you've had over your career, which is amazing. So I think kind of getting to revisit those ideas are fantastic. I do want to show you in our RISE program, and this may take just a moment. Just a moment here. Here we go. Please pay no attention to all of the open things on my desktop. So this is the back view. Y'all's view is much nicer. So this is how we create our courses. And so when you are going through RPD, you can see you will have all of these lessons here that you can flip through. I will even show you the preview. You can utilize it on a laptop, a tablet, you can use it on a phone, so it is available on the run, on the go. But as you click through each, as you start each one, you'll see that you have a completion here. It'll show you how much you've completed of each segment here. There are natural breaks set up throughout. You'll see that you can't move forward unless it's been completed. But we do have videos, we do have stops, we do have interactions that allow you to kind of utilize the material and not just read about it or learn from that, or expected to just be like taking notes and reading paragraphs. So I did want to show you in our digital one-pager activity, this is all part of our module 1. So when we say tech integration, we're kind of showing you a reflective activity here. And so a one-pager is a visual organizer created by students to express and emphasize concerns or details of what they learned. And I'm not going to walk you through this whole video, but you can kind of see we start out.
You can use Google Sites in your class.
So it's showing you how to use Google Sites in your classroom. It kind of gets you set up. This is actually walking you through the activity that we did.
Right here.
It's going to allow you to
Find
see
pictures like that.
how to find your pictures.
Upload.
You can also utilize these videos for a year afterwards if you need further access to them. We're happy to help you. But this would allow you to kind of show your students, teach your students how to utilize this technology. And again, this is a 3-minute video, and we link to further resources further down that show you kind of how we end up publishing our websites, how that happens. And it's a 2 to 3 minute process there. And then of course we have further resources available, and like our test project here. And everything that we utilized in this PD, every app, every resource, every document that we read can all be found in the references and the resources section here. So, and again, you have access to this for a year. So once you sign up for the PD, this is yours to utilize throughout this whole year. And I will flip back real quickly here. And let me just get into, oops, and my apologies. All right, so under captivating content, does anyone have any questions so far? Is there anything? I've covered a lot of material really fast. I know I talk really quickly sometimes. So if you have anything, please let me know, or if there's any questions in the chat.
I have a quick question. You're talking about podcasts. Do you have a specific app that you recommend that's kid-friendly for podcasting?
I do. I have a list of several of them. If you want to email me, my email will be at the end, and I can just email you guys and send you that list on the podcast, because unfortunately I did not write them all down today. I wrote down to mention podcasts, but did not write down the specific ones, but I will be happy to share those with you. But yeah, podcasts are really fantastic. These, the websites too, the Google Sites is a really great way to create a website and have students share their ideas that way too. But yeah, I would be happy to send you my list. I just don't want to miss one off the top of my head. Okay, but yeah, my apologies. And I don't think I'm in like present mode anymore, you guys. My apologies there.
So I had a question. I put it in the chat. So I just wanted to ask if there were students who kind of struggled to create those web pages. And if so, how did you accommodate to that student to let them still show you what they were learning, if they struggled utilizing the technology to kind of show you the teacher?
Oh, okay. So far, I haven't had a lot of students that have struggled with it, because like I said, we went through the videos as a means of a part of the learning process. But when they do struggle with technology, which does happen, we teach robotics and coding and programming quite often. So what I would recommend having them do is allow them, in whatever classroom management or learning management system you're using, allow them to send you like a chat with some bullet points that just says, these are the things I'm trying to do. Help them troubleshoot the technology. And And again, you can do that in a private chat where they don't have to send it to the whole class. But then also allowing them easier ways they can record like an audio file and say it to you. Again, I don't know why the audio files seem to be so great, but you know how you can record a text message? There are ways within most learning management systems, and like if it's Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, there are ways for you to record a chat or record a conversation to send to someone. So you can have your students record it and send it to you, and then that way it can help you build with them. You can also do, have them do something in a collaborative space, like something that they could do from Drive, where you can help them organize their ideas. Because usually it's not the technology, and this has been my experience again with my personal children at home, it's not the problem with the technology. Most of the problem is with the typing. Typing is really hard for kids, so sometimes typing slows them up, and organizing their ideas and their thoughts. So sometimes if you have those students who struggle and are, you know, having an issue, help them organize their thoughts, help them organize how they want to do this digital one-pager or the website, and then they can try it on their own. Ask them specific questions. What is it doing? Again, focus on the process, not the product. What is this doing? We're using this as a learning moment. So what is it that you're struggling with? How can we assess the problem? Helping them develop those critical thinking skills is really a great opportunity. And sometimes it's as simple as going online with them and saying, I don't know how to answer that, which there's great power in that as a teacher, of being able to say you don't know the answer, because then the student goes, well, you don't know the answer. Well, some students are going to be like, oh, so I don't have to know anything. But then you follow that up by saying, let's look into it together. Let's Google this. Let's try this. So in cases where students have gotten stuck, and even my own kiddos at home, you know, it's really allowing them to search for the answer and finding the answer with them. But what I found is with most kids, where they get stuck is how do they organize their ideas and their thoughts? And the typing thing is a little hard. So when they can find ways to, again, Google Classroom has the great thing where you can do the audio recording, where you talk into it and it types it out for you. So the more little pieces you have like that you can integrate into whatever the product is, that's very helpful. Because where the frustration comes in is that I've got to type this and I type with 2 fingers. And, you know, of course they get, as we all do, they get lost on like trying to find pictures. And I can't find the picture that I want. And I want it to be this picture, but none of these pictures are the pictures and they're not the right color. So you kind of have to get them past those points. But I do believe that in terms of the struggle, walking them through what they're doing, helping them organize their ideas, and finding applications that will allow them to audio record and send you messages is also just as valuable as them creating the page themselves. Did I answer that fully?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, great answer.
Because sometimes I go in a direction and I feel like I'm answering the question and I kind of hit a tangent and go the wrong way. So let me just get to this last slide here. So how do we create meaningful connections to learning? So we do this in a couple ways, right? We have reflection, which we all know is important. Reflection really allows you the opportunity to delve into that metacognitive process of learning and explore like your experiences, what you went through, what you're going through now. And it just kind of cements the learning and it provides that deeper understanding. And so during this process, we are all as teachers learning right now. We are in the largest learning curve for our professions that we've ever seen. So right now is a great opportunity to help build resiliency in yourself. So this was a definite technique I wanted you guys to take away from today. And it's not, meditation, but it is in a sense. It's teacher meditation, if you will. But really allow yourself the opportunity to reflect on your strengths as a teacher. Reflect on what you do as a teacher and what has made you successful in the classroom. When you can reflect on that and kind of give yourself that list and go, okay, these are the things that I am excellent at in the classroom. These are the things that, maybe are my second strongest suits. That allows you to kind of build up that little bit of confidence going into the school year and go, okay, these are the things I know I'm excellent at. How am I going to be excellent at them virtually? How am I going to be excellent at them in terms of, having my kids on and off? How am I going to be excellent at these things by also, knowing that I may have to quarantine, my students may have to quarantine, so my learning is going to shape and change. But that ability to reflect on who you are and what you've done kind of alleviates a lot of the anxiety of going, these are the things that I know I can do, that I have done successfully for years. You can create hope in yourself and in your students by focusing on the process. Like I said, we're in a massive learning curve right now for ourselves and for students. Such a great opportunity. Kids are way more tech savvy than most adults because it's second nature. They've been doing it forever. They didn't have to learn how to do it. They were already integrated with it from a young age. So creating that sense of hope is allowing you to kind of focus on the process. Like, give yourself that break and say, hey, I am learning right now and it's amazing. I'm learning something new. This is exactly the feeling I want my kids to have, is that little sense of like, is it rigorous? Yes, it is. Is it a challenge? Yes, it is. But I'm excited about it and I'm embracing the opportunity to do more. And I'm focusing on the process. And the process is I'm learning new skills. The process is I am, taking my professionalism to the next level. I am leveling up. If we were gamifying this, we're all leveling up as teachers, and it's a fantastic opportunity to do that. We really want to give praise to ourselves and to our students too for trying and for making the effort. So back to the whole, like, when kids struggle with the website, you are going to struggle. There are going to be moments that we are all going to go, man, this is not what I intended it to be. But you have to give credit and, again, go back and reflect, go back and look at, what did I do really well? What am I taking away from this? What am I learning in this process? And really cementing that with your students as well. They're learning new things. They're trying new things. They're learning in a different way than they've learned before. This is a different environment. They miss their friends. They miss their teachers. They miss the cafeteria. They miss the playground. There's things that they're not getting that they're used to. So allowing them to see that, like, you're trying and you're making an effort and this is new and it's different, but you've got this, you can keep going, but you also have to do that for yourself. Be consistent and caring. Consistent and caring is not just for your students, for yourselves too. Be consistent with yourself. Hold yourself to your same accountability and standard that you would hold in the classroom. I mean, it is nice if you are virtually teaching, yes, you can wear shorts because nobody can see that you are wearing shorts that you cannot wear in the classroom. But sometimes it helps you to be in the right mindset to set yourself up as though I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to hold the same standard for myself and for my students in this space, but I'm going to be caring about it and be caring to myself and show great self-care. And by showing self-care for yourself, you're also teaching your students self-care, which is highly important in this environment. It is really important that students have that opportunity to express themselves, to think about what they're doing, to think about, I mean, for a lot of our students, they're experiencing, maybe they are middle class and equity wasn't an issue for them before because they had everything, but their parents may be laid off now. Their parents may be unemployed now. So some of your accessible students that had everything at their disposal may be in a different place. all of these experiences are valid. And I think allowing students to express them and being gentle with yourself and them and kind of going, okay, we've got this. It's just that constant reminder of this is an experience. We're working our way through it, and we're going to find the opportunities for learning and the opportunities for positivity and the opportunities that are there and the things that we don't do well to become better. Listen to yourself and listen to your students. So these are just all things that help you develop better self-resiliency and help your students develop resiliency. But it's kind of like that old adage, that old story about, you know, if you're going to be in the plane, and they always tell you, put on your mask before you put on your child's. And the reason for that is you cannot, as a teacher, as a parent, as a person, you can't help others until you have helped yourself. When you are in the right space and you have reflected and you have taken care of yourself, that's when you're your best version, and that's where you're going to give the best to your kids. So please consider that. And we do have more techniques. And again, our experts on equity talk about this in our PD sessions, and we talk about stress and the brain and how do you alleviate stress. Activity is fantastic. There's all kinds of wonderful exercise apps that are like the 2-minute yoga that you can do with your kids. And you can get online and have them do it and you do it. And you're not having, for me personally, I don't like to exercise in front of anyone because that's just me. That's my personal, like, ooh, I don't like that. But I like to exercise with other people. But then they can't see me if we're all doing it together online. Like, we're giving them that opportunity to run in place or do something fun and get the alleviate the stress, take it down a notch. So again, the self-care, the student care, building that resiliency in yourself and your students is highly important. And I know I'm going to run out of time because I talk too much. So what does hands-on learning look like in a virtual environment? Well, we have some answers for you on that. And let me just get to here. Here we go. So real quick, this is a PDF that you will get, and I will, actually, let's see. Can one of my moderators, can you, Lisa, I shared this earlier. Do I need to share it again in the chat, or can you share it?
Go ahead and share it again in the chat. That'd be great.
Okay.
It's at the top of the chat if people want to scroll.
It is at the top of the chat if you want to scroll.
It might just be easier to add it again if you can.
You got it. And I will do that in just one moment. I'm not good at multitasking. I'm going to give everybody that fair warning.
I will, let me see if I can do that for you.
But I wanted to show you guys, so you will be getting an activity today called What's in STEM. It is an amazing Engage activity. It actually can be transposed and transitioned into any unit, any lesson, any content. But it's an Engage activity. It's that hook. It's that getting your kids in and learning and invested. So we have this amazing activity here, and it just kind of walks you through that. But I wanted to show you our lesson plans. Oh, and I broke it. No. I wanted to show you our lesson plans. Can everybody still see this? Are we good? Or did I stop sharing?
We're not, you stopped sharing, and I also posted What's in STEM.
Okay, so What's in STEM is now posted. Thank you, Lisa. I wanted to show you, this is an example of our 6th to 8th zip away lesson plan. This is that 5E, and it is pretty in depth. You can see the TEKs are here for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We have career connections for engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. Our goals are here, very standard. But we also break up the tech and the equipment, the consumable materials, and digital and reusable materials. Go through your class setup and also the lesson summary. And you will see in our lesson plans, career connections will be in blue, tech integration, Padlet, Flipgrid, Google Sites, all of those are in purple. So when you go through our lesson plans, I just kind of wanted to show y'all because they're different than others, but you have your Engage. So we walk through the in-person, like, this is how you're going to do this if you're in your classroom. And we go through all 5 E's: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And we walk you through all the pieces, but then we have this piece at the end. here's how you would do this in a blended or a virtual environment. And it walks you through all the technology. It gives you some other ideas for if your kids don't have access to technology, how can you do this? Just kind of helping you through that process. We also provide other scaled lesson plans. We have K to 2, 3 to 5, and 6 to 8 for almost all lesson plans. We also provide any materials that we use, like we have the Zipaway engineering design process. We've made you some ideas on how to do team roles for this lesson. We've also given you the company information to kind of add an entrepreneurial aspect to this activity. And then the data table. So we've already created your extensions and your content here for you. So that would be available to you as well. And then, oh, I did it again. Y'all, my apologies for hitting that button. But we also provide like kind of like an angle or a slope that shows you too, like right here. So it just shows you like the Zipaway slopes and how you would attach this ping pong ball zip line in your classroom. And if the students were doing this at home, like some great ways to show them how to do it and how to record themselves so that they can share their experience with you. And to close out, I wanted to just kind of show you one last thing and then I'll answer a question. But again, this may be a little soft, so one moment.
Thinking about your STEM curriculum for the year ahead? Find the tools you need in the Science Mills Virtual Professional Development Workshop. Spark curiosity, real-world challenges, and career connections. Get them asking questions. Equity and social justice in STEM. Adapt for blended and virtual learning. And share ideas with your peers. Bring the excitement of a museum field trip into your curriculum. Join the Science Mills Virtual Professional Development Workshop. Visit sciencemill.org/SMPD for details.
I know we're out of time. We have a minute left, so I cut that off really fast, but that just gave you a little bit more about what our PD is. There's some information here on just what other people who've taken the PD have said, and I wanted to leave this slide up here. If you want to contact me personally, amber.middlebrook@sciencemill.org. If you have general questions about PD or about the Science Mill in general, just hit us up at info@sciencemill.org. And Trisha Berry, who we did interview, by the way, for roles of gender and gender in STEM. She is actually one of our equity speakers. You can receive your PDF of our What's in STEM activity at the tinyurl.com STEM PD Day. And real quickly, does anybody have any questions? Is there anything you would like to share with us? If you had ideas too that you were like, I'd really like for there to be a PD on X, or I want to know more about this. If you have really great ideas, please send them to us and we'd be happy to help or address them and maybe make a PD for you. Any questions?
Hello. Thanks for the presentation. I really enjoyed it. So is Amber Middlebrook at sciencemill.org is your email address?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So yeah, I think I'm thinking about the podcast. You probably have some suggestions. So
Yes.
very helpful.
So please email me directly and I will send you the list of the podcasts. And again, in our module 2 and module 3, we talk about the different podcasts and how to do them. And there's a whole 6-minute video that just kind of shows you how to set it up. And so we have some that are for younger students and some that are for middle school and some that are for high school. So there's a degree of differences in the podcast. So just if you want podcast information, just email me directly and I'll send it your way.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed this morning. I know that this was kind of the fast and furious of putting together the PD and everybody coming together, but I appreciate everybody joining us this morning, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Again, if you have any further questions, please email me directly, and I'd be happy to answer what I can, and what I can't, we'll find out and work through together.
Thanks so much. And I'll just put in one last plug. I think we have, most of you have signed in your name for our attendance list. If you have not, please add your name to the chat. So I'll make sure you get credit for participating. And I'll leave the chat open. So.
Oh, yes. And if you have any questions about careers, I kind of missed a message, but if you wanted to know more about the career and the career integration, Mahek and I would be thrilled to speak with you about it. So if you want to throw something in the chat, we'd be happy to continue offline discussing some career opportunities with you.
In order to get the lesson plans that you guys were showing, that's part of one of the modules, correct?
Yes, so we shared with you the Engage activity. Again, the digital one-pager is also written up as a PDF, and then that zip away lesson plan, that is part of the PD. And again, you can purchase it by module. We also have resources if you want to have your principal or your district contact us. We have pricing available for districts. So if, I believe it is $35 per module. And then we have a discount, a break on if you want to purchase the whole module of 6. And there's going to be a new one coming out every month. So it's kind of like we give you like a month to digest, and then we have a new one up and posted and ready for you.
Okay, but the zip away lesson, that would be module 1?
Yes, it is in module 1, and it's a lot. There's a lot in there, and there's a K to 2, a 3 to 5, and a 6 to 8 version. And we have like extension activities that are in our learning platform. We talk about how can you add a budget, how can you add these other concepts and ideas that help make it more cross-curricular.
Gotcha, perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
This was very helpful.
Thank you very much, you guys. I really hope it was helpful for y'all, and I hope to hear from any and all of you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have one question. So for each module, do you have a basic idea how long it will take for students to learn each module?
So the modules are designed for the teachers to use. So they're set at 3 hours. Again, you receive TEA, CPE accredited hours for them. So if you took all 6, you would receive 18 hours of CPE credits. It's kind of like a conference in a box. But if you're asking, I think what you're asking is, how long would it take for the students to do the activities that we have in the modules?
Yes. How do we? Yeah.
So those are kind of designed to be at your pace. Again, they're 5E activities. Some of them you could stop at the Explore. You could do that in 2 or 3 days, and you could stop at the Explore and you would have completed a full unit. We have all the way to the Evaluate, of course, because it's a 5E unit. So it can take, we have taken these lesson plans and gotten them down to an hour interaction with students, but that's not the true meaning of inquiry. It is designed to be kind of stretched out over a couple days. You don't have to do all 5Es in one day, but you can if you need to. So time is of the essence. That's why we left them pretty open for you guys. So like if you came here to the museum, you could do the zip away, just the activity in an hour, and we would walk you through it, and we would go through it with your students. But then all of those extensions and the elaborates and designing your videos and Flipgrid and creating your digital one-pager, all that would take place later. So it's really kind of varied depending on what the activity is, how much time you have, and how you design it to be. We didn't put a timestamp on it, but there are a lot of like resources in there. There's videos and things like that that you could skip to make it shorter. Or you could add more to make it longer. I hope I answered that.
Yes.
Sort of. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And hi, Michelle Sudbury. I just saw you down there. Does anyone else have any other questions for me or for Mahek? And I apologize that I missed the opportunity. Mahek is brilliant when it comes to career integration. She was our STEM summer camp director for multiple years before she had her beautiful baby. And so please, if we would love to help you integrate careers into your curriculum and would love to talk more with you about that.
Do we just email you about wanting that information on the STEM careers?
Yes, you can just email me directly and then we'll answer the questions that you have and be able to help you out. And of course, in the PD, we walk you through kind of how to do it. Mahek, did you want to say something really quick? I know we're over our time, but.
Yeah, so the career connections, we're really proud of those in the professional development modules. That's something that we have been doing for many years at the Science Mill in all of our engagements, whether it's through the exhibits, the learning labs, our labs on the go, our summer camp programs. We always try to highlight career integration as much as we can, because we know that for a lot of kids, a lot of students, hearing that as much as possible and as often as possible and highlighting how what they're learning matters outside of the classroom, outside of our camp four walls, is so important to get them engaged at an early age. There was a study that came out in 2008, I think, that mentioned, that asked girls and boys, did you want to be an engineer? And girls were twice as likely as boys to say no. But when asked if they wanted to use DNA to solve a crime, or if they wanted to save the rainforest, or something that's more tangible, girls were just as likely to say yes. And that kind of gave us the very much needed push to say, all right, it's not what it is, it's how you present it, how you talk about it. And we know that can be a challenge for everyone, especially those of us who are educators, who definitely spent many years learning about education, but not as many years learning about STEM careers. And it's hard to be an expert in all of those things and know everything that we should and shouldn't be doing in the classroom when it comes to careers. So that's where we want to come in as a resource to help you kind of navigate those steps in your classroom.
Perfect.
All right, you guys, I hope everybody got my information. I didn't mean to hit stop share and ruin it for anyone. But again, if you need anything, please reach out to myself or Mahek. We'd be happy to help you. And you got hi kiddo. Y'all, I'm so excited to see kids. I mean, I have teenagers. They're not as much fun as the littles. So thank you guys so very much. And again, I hope you enjoy your STEM day, your STEM PD day with UT and the STEM ecosystem. And we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thanks so much, everyone. And we'll have a 20-minute break, and then this line will start back up again for the next session at 11:30.
Hi, y'all.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.